I realized recently I've been keeping a secret. It's a very strange secret to keep, and I'm not really keeping it for any reason. So I guess it's time that I don't keep it in a secret anymore. Perhaps it's one of those things that took me 40 years to be ready to talk about, and that's why it's been a secret. I don't know. So, what's the secret, you may ask? Bum, bum, bum. I'm actually OCD. Ha, hey! Did the world end by me saying that out loud? No. You know, it's really been an interesting journey to actually get into a point of saying that out loud, and it's really only happened this year. And I swear to you, my whole family didn't even realize how OCD I was as a kid. When I explained to them, they were like, oh, that's why you made that weird sound, which I can't even make for you because a part of me knows that if I actually made the nervous tick that I used to make sound, I might never stop again. And I'm not even joking. When I was a kid, I used to count by sevens. 7, 14, 21, 28. I would count my steps. I would count like the rhythms of how I spoke. I would count things that the teachers were saying. I would count birds I would see. And it was strange. Like if things didn't line up in the number of 7, I would then make this weird sound that's kind of similar to that. But like I said, I cannot pretend to make it. My mom did it the other day over Christmas. Too bad she's not here. Should have her send me a video of her making the sound for this video. It's a whole lot of effort. So, my mom and my brother, who I grew up with, did not even realize that I was OCD. I never said anything as a kid. I didn't really know what OCD was. I also had horrifying anxiety. I didn't really know what that was. I had PTSD, really. Something pretty traumatic happened to me in my childhood, and pretty immediate after that is when the OCD started. And I sometimes marvel looking back at myself because I outgrew it without any therapy. And it's really quite amazing, to be fair, because my trauma brain was like, hey, maybe we could figure out a way to not have to count and have it interfere with every single thing we do. And maybe we don't have to make a weird sound just to correct things every time we feel like we've miscounted. Nothing bad's gonna happen. And honestly, I think that was probably my biggest entry point to journaling. And journaling, like I have said a million times, has been my therapist since, she's my A1 since the day one. And it's quite an interesting thing now to be able to see the way OCD actually still manifests in my life. Now, clinical psychologists have spent time with me and have never been like, girl, you're OCD. They have been like, girl, you're ADHD AF, and also you have anxiety, and the combination of the two can sometimes make you look like you're a whole lot of different things. It's because I don't talk about it. I can't really explain why. And I think now, saying it out loud to y'all, it's probably because I did it by myself as a kid. I processed it without talking it out loud. And so now it's like, why would I talk about it? I haven't been talking about it forever. And so why am I talking about it now? Well, funny you should ask. I've recently started to take the steps to purchasing a loft, which, I mean, it's purchased, but I just don't close until February. So there's a whole lot of time, and there's a whole lot of things that my brain can imagine happening. So this is when my OCD likes to come out to play. It's when the obsessive thoughts of like, oh, I must do this in order to prevent this start to happen. And I kind of become obsessive about everything, about people, about projects, about ideas, about pursuits, about having freaking brick walls, which has served me because I'm about to have brick walls, baby. But it has been a lifelong understanding that this obsessiveness is actually quite a bit of remnants of OCD that I created for myself as a way to try to understand a very broken world at a very young age. And then young me sort of processed and unraveled, but never really clinically understood OCD until I was in school And honestly, I knew that I had this OCD, and I knew that I had a tic, and I knew that I was anxious, and I knew that I had PTSD, and I knew that I was awkward, and I knew all of these things. But I don't think it really, really came together until I was staying at my friend's house, and they gave me the code for their security system, which I'm not going to say. But I literally said to them, whoa, as a kid, I used to do this thing, and I explained to them my counting process. And then from there, I was like, wait, I've been writing a book about my life and have never written about being OCD. And I decided to talk to my family about it. And they were like, wait, what? You have OCD? I think we all kind of have a taste. But if you travel with me and my passport's involved, I have to touch it at least 100 times. I can't explain. I know that I put it in the bag, and then I zipped the bag, and then I put the bag inside the other bag, and I zipped it. And that means it's not going to abracadabra disappear. But in my mind, it could have. So I need to open all the bags and touch it again, which increases the chance of it being lost. So then I have to recheck to make sure I didn't really lose it this time. It's insanity. I manage. But I think I haven't fully been talking about it because I haven't really understood how I got over it as a kid. Like, if I actually look back and say, oh, I did this technique, or I pulled on this skill I learned about in a book, or whatever, I can't identify it's a therapeutic tool. I didn't do cognitive behavioral therapy to get rid of my OCD. I didn't do mindfulness techniques to get rid of my OCD. I don't know how to fully describe what I did, and so oftentimes I don't really know to talk about it because, like all of us, if there's not something backing it up, we must have just made it up, or we might be wrong, or we might just be crazy because we need the whole world to tell us we're right. Couldn't just possibly have figured out my own unique way to recover from problematic thinking. Imagine that thought. A thought that I'm actually starting to give a lot more energy to. Perhaps I do have this intuition that I keep feeling like I have. Perhaps I do just kind of know things. I do just kind of work out ways to retrain my brain in ways that maybe aren't written about in a book, but they work for me, so therefore they're valid. Because we're still trying to figure out how to verbalize what young Hope did with her OCD, because I still don't really have quite the words. Trust me, the book is waiting. I trust you. You've come up with it. I'm sorry I just talked shit. So, that being said, let me talk about what I do now with my OCD. The first and foremost thing, like, everyone always talks about mindfulness, and I think mindfulness is one of my biggest practices, but there is a fine line when you're OCD with mindfulness. Because there are moments you can be too mindful. You can be too aware. You can be so obsessively aware of what you are doing that it actually becomes problematic. So I just think when you're using mindfulness, to use it in an easeful way. Easeful? Is easeful a word? Let me know. Use it in a way that brings you ease, not stress. I cannot say that enough because I actually have had clients say, I've tried your mindfulness thing and it made me just obsess over my breathing or my thoughts or how I was like holding my hand in the world. I get ya. For me, mindfulness is just to simply say, oh, wait, bring my awareness. This is what's happening right now. Like, let me just become very aware of what's happening so that I'm not boing, 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 like I normally am. Because if I'm not fully engaged in the fact that, ooh, my mind is having an obsessive thought, or it is wanting me to do something in order to get rid of this thought, if I don't bring that to my awareness, then there is no way that I am going to be able to then get control of my thoughts. So mindfulness to me is mostly just kind of checking in with myself. How am I feeling? How are my thoughts? Where are my thoughts? Am I okay? And if I'm feeling some type of way, is this a sign to me of something needing to be sorted out? So that's the first thing. The next thing is when my mind gets like hooked on something, it is like a fishing hook onto a poor little fish's mouth. Yeah, I did that. But for real, I have to literally unhook it. I have to say, whoa, you know what you're doing? You're obsessing. Bloop, unhook. What can we put our energy into today? What can we put our focus into? I have to have a conversation with myself about 100 times a day, because I also have ADHD. Where is my energy and focus going? And if it's going here, there, him, her, there, that, this, and not here, it is up to me to then be like, okay, redirect. Let's just redirect. And you'd be surprised at how trainable, malleable, open to rewiring our brains actually are. Just takes so much consistency, and everyone just wants to give up because we all just want it to be easy peasy, pumpkin squeezy, and everything's just fixed the snap of your fingers. Lord knows if that could happen, A, I wouldn't have a job or need my job, but B, I would be living my best life. Actually, I am living my best life. You know how that felt? Amazing, because I meant it. Focus. See what I mean? I have to make sure that I unhook wherever my brain just went and put it where it's supposed to go. And then, honestly, I have to love my little inner hope. I have to just be like, girl, it's okay. I know what you're doing. You're trying to keep yourself safe. You think the more you're obsessing over something, someone, a situation, a story, whatever, that you then get to protect yourself from all the unknown elements. And it's this weird grasp for control, but not like in a control freak kind of way, but in a, if I can have a little bit of control, maybe I won't get hurt. So I recently broke my own heart a little bit on Christmas. And I'm not getting into it, but I just have to say that it was a beautiful chance for me to actually be able to see the moments of growth in which I was able to unhook my brain from where it was obsessing and put the focus back on me. And it felt so massive. I felt so insanely proud of myself, even though there was like a little bit of that longing and that sadness. It just felt like, girl, you recognized what you were doing and you changed it. And I just think that there's a lot of us that have maladaptive coping skills that we created as kids. And a lot of times we think they're working for us because we're out being in the world. I mean, nobody really knew I had OCD. I mean, people think I'm a little weird because I am. Thank you. But no one knew the amount of thoughts that were going through my mind in a cycle on every given minute of any given day. I appear completely normal and successful by society standards. And that's cool. But also inside, there is a consistent whoa. Like I literally am having to constantly redirecting the thoughts. Now, I want to also say that like the redirection of thoughts comes with some feelings, because sometimes there's like, but I don't want to. And you have to be like, hey, I get it. Like at some point you obsessing over this was bringing you a little bit of peace or a little bit of comfort, or, you know, sometimes that obsessive thinking sometimes makes me feel like it's what made me manifest whatever I just manifested. And I don't know, the word manifest, we need a new one. We need a new word. Let's just create a new one for 2025. The things that I have literally been able to create into my reality sometimes seem like it's coming from me being obsessive. But the truth is, that's not what it's coming from. And I have to recognize that as well. Like when I actually make my dreams become a reality, it's because I had a clear vision of what I wanted. I was living in alignment with that. And it was also a bit of what I needed. And I was putting energy and actionable steps into creating that reality. It wasn't like I just expected it to come to me because I asked for it or I willed it. It was, hey, I want this thing to happen. I'm going to take steps for this to happen. I'm going to align myself with this. And yes, I'm going to think obsessively about it, but that's actually not what made me get it. And so having to come to terms with the fact that my obsessive thinking isn't actually creating beautiful realities and all my dreams come true, sometimes it's just distracting me or hurting me or harming me or even like giving other people way too much of my attention. Or it is me taking a simple thing in life and creating a problem in my head that doesn't actually exist, and then obsessively thinking over it, and then thinking I need to take certain actions in order to create the solution. And it doesn't have to be like that way. It never has to be this hard. I don't have to count to 7s to function. Interesting fact, the place I just bought is divisible by 7. So is the place I just sold. So is my home from my childhood. So, there's something about the number 7, and I'm sorry to my childhood brain, but we're not giving up on that magic. So, now that I've told my secret, I am a girl with OCD. Let it be known that it's very managed, and I'm very, very thankful for that, because I have seen clients that will literally have to start their day completely over because whatever it was that they felt they needed to do for things to go well, they didn't do. Now, I'm watching my friend's house. I've been watching it for a week, and I'm watching it for another week. This is my second time watching it. And whenever I set the alarm and lock the door, if I don't see both dogs, which I know were inside, I freak out for a minute. And then I'm like, okay, that is just an obsessive thought. You know they're both inside. You did your checks. Like, I have to check that I turned everything off. All candles are out. Like, sometimes OCD actually is okay. And then I have to rationalize that the dogs are fine. You don't have to open the door. You don't have to set the alarm off. Everything's fine. You can leave. Now, pulling out of the driveway, I have to actually work on those thoughts, because part of me will be like, are you sure? Are you sure we shouldn't go back? Like, you really don't want anything to happen to those dogs. A, you love them, but B, your friend would never speak to you again. You really should go back. That still exists in my regular life. It's not just travel. Where's my passport? But I have come such a long way in being able to say, no, we know what that thought is. Now let's put our focus on where we are headed, what we're going to do today. And it's just, like I said, a literal constant redirection. And some days it's no wonder I go to bed so tired, even if I don't feel like I did anything that day, because I have to work up here all day. But guess what? Didn't mean to scream in the microphone, sorry. I'm really actually pleased with my brain. I really quite like it. I like the creativity it comes up with. I like the ideas it comes up with. When she is being tended to and watered and weeded, she's a beautiful, beautiful space. When she is left to the chaos of the world around her and the voices coming in and the OCD-ness and the trauma, she's a bit of a mess. But we love her anyways. And we're very thankful to ourselves for learning to work with this. And, I've had a lot of OCD clients. We've made a lot of progress together. And so it's hard to put into a video, hey, this is what you should do if you're OCD. I don't really know how to spell that out into a nice little paragraph for you. And also don't think that's really how it works. I think it works with finding somebody you feel genuinely seen by, supported by, not judged, and that you trust them enough to open up to tell them all the deepest, darkest, ickiest, most obsessive, just cobwebby bits of your brain. And then together, y'all start to make a plan for how to help you manage your thoughts better and manage your brain better. I honestly think that there are certain things that a YouTube video cannot fix. I just believe that therapy is there for that kind of reason, because this is something that childhood hope could have definitely benefited from having a therapist. But also, it's not lost on me that childhood hope built so much grit and resiliency and belief in my ability to adapt and overcome. And that is why I am now such a confident therapist. And if you were struggling with OCD thoughts and you watched this whole video and you're like, girl, you did not help me at all. Well, let this be your takeaway. Find a trusted therapist, a coach, somebody who has at least a little bit of understanding about redirecting your thoughts and kind of talking to the trauma version of yourself and loving the pieces of you, even if they all feel neurotic and just annoying. Find someone you trust and work with them. Because I tell you, if I can be in the place where I am, which is a pretty good place, you can too. It's possible. It just takes the right team and the willingness. I believe in you. You got this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.